So I wasn't going to cover this story, but then the people over at Fox News really started spouting off at the mouth and saying some insane things about a man that had just killed somebody. But first, if you want to support independent progressive media and help me make it to 1,000 subscribers, please remember to hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to make it to 1,000 before the end of the year, and I would very much appreciate your support. Now, by the time this video comes out, most people will have heard that Daniel Penny was found not guilty of the charges that were brought against him. And for those of you that don't know, Daniel Penny was charged last year after a man walked into a New York subway acting erratically and making other passengers feel frightened. And Daniel Penny walked up behind the man and started to restrain him in a chokehold. He ended up holding that chokehold for several minutes, and Jordan Neely, the man who was being restrained, ended up dying. So this was a very tragic story that very likely could have been avoided, and I'm not here to talk about the ins and outs of the case. There are definitely facts that could be brought to my attention that could make me understand why Daniel Penny did the things that he did. But I want to talk about the response to the outcome of this case, because we even have people in Congress, MAGA Republicans, glorifying this type of behavior. And I just want to say up front, I don't want to live in a society that glorifies, promotes, or incentivizes this type of behavior. Like I said, Daniel Penny could have been justified in this particular case, but that doesn't mean I want to celebrate the actions that he engaged in. We don't want to make it okay for people to think that they can just take justice into their own hands and kill people. That is not a good system to live within. So even if Daniel Penny was right in this particular case, which I'm not saying he necessarily was, maybe we shouldn't be glorifying these people that have carried or taken justice into their own hands. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of these representatives. His name is Eli Crane, and he's just talking about how this sends a great signal to the rest of the country to carry out this type of behavior.
On the courtroom steps, BLM leaders were saying, well, it's time for us to be vigilantes and go kill people effectively. Like we need to go out and we need to, take blood for this. I mean, that seems like a direct threat. Would you be in favor of potential charges against the people who are now threatening Daniel Penny's life? And just it clearly can't be allowed, right? The guy went through this horrible process, and now they're just going to take matters into their own hands? No.
Yeah, absolutely. If they broke the law, then absolutely I'm in favor of them facing charges for breaking the law. But like I said, it's a good day here in this country that Daniel Penny got off, and I love the signal that it sends to other Americans out there who still have a heart to do the right thing, want to do the right thing, and they know that there's still a chance that if you find yourself in a situation like that, you can protect innocent civilians and not go to jail for the rest of your life.
So think about what he is saying here. He's saying it is sending a signal to the rest of the country that if you want to take justice into your own hands, this is the type of outcome that you might be able to hope for. And is this really the type of thing that we want to be promoting in our society? And then for Benny Johnson to say that, well, shouldn't we just go after these Black Lives Matters guys who were saying that they were going to be vigilantes and take things into their own hands? When that's exactly what Daniel Penny did. He took it upon himself to restrain Jordan Neely, and Jordan Neely died. Now, was Jordan Neely acting aggressively? From the sounds of it, yeah. Was he acting a bit erratic? Yeah. Did he touch anybody? No. Did he make any direct threats towards anybody? I don't think so. But nevertheless, the people on that subway were in fear. They were frightened. And many of the passengers who were riding that day praised Daniel Penny for restraining him. But it goes a step further when you start to glorify this type of behavior. This is what we have seen more and more come out of the MAGA movement. They continue to hold figures like Daniel Penny up on this pedestal and treat them like heroes. I mean, just look at Kyle Rittenhouse. Was Kyle Rittenhouse acting in self-defense when he shot those people? Yeah, it looks like he was. But that doesn't mean we should be glorifying that he showed up to a protest at the age of 17 strapped with a rifle and ended up killing people. It's still not a good thing, even if the particular instance was justified. And then you have people like Jesse Waters over at Fox News saying, well, maybe Trump will put him in the cabinet.
The one case, the political case, got tossed by a judge, and now this social justice case just got tossed by a jury. In both cases, he made up crimes. Daniel Penny was defending the public, and Donald Trump was defending his reputation. Thank God. Now, I think Donald Trump is probably going to find a good way to commemorate Penny. Maybe we'll see him walk out at the next UFC fight. Maybe he'll put him in the cabinet. I don't know.
This is just gross. What has Daniel Penny done that would justify giving him a cabinet position besides killing another person? I mean, the rationale doesn't make any sense at all. And for Jesse Waters to just downplay this or put this guy up on some sort of pedestal like Trump is going to glorify this behavior, I find pretty despicable. Now, it gets a little worse than this because you have people like Kayleigh McEnany and even Eli Crane that are suggesting Daniel Penny, he should get a congressional medal for this. I wish I was joking.
This guy was convicted in the court of public opinion, despite being a hero, despite all of those on the subway calling him a hero and thanking him for his actions. To the point Larry mentioned, he deserves a congressional gold medal. Eli Crane has put forward legislation to give Daniel Penny a congressional gold medal. I want to add to the day one priority of Donald Trump by saying, get behind this, put a tailwind, give this guy a congressional gold medal. He is nothing less than a hero. Justice prevailed, but his life thus far is still ruined.
Are these people insane? She's advocating for making this a day one priority for the incoming Trump administration. We should make sure that Daniel Penny gets a congressional medal for killing somebody in the subway. What is wrong with these people? They just love this type of violence. They just love this idea of people standing up for themselves and taking things into their own hands. And what? Killing people? I mean, this is absolutely despicable stuff. If the tables were turned and this was a Black Lives Matter protester doing the exact same thing, would people over at Fox News be singing their praises? No, because they shouldn't be. This is not the type of behavior that we want to promote in our society, even if there are one-off cases that makes this type of thing justified. It's really quite gross to me. And then we have people like Scott Jennings, one of the douchiest people on TV, saying that maybe we should just erect a statue of this guy.
People on the left can't
Scott,
seem to tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys.
I'm not actually asking you about people on the left. I'm asking you whether you consider this person.
We had people praising
I want
Luigi
to know
and
whether
attacking
you
Penny.
think that,
one is good,
as
one
Congressman Crane does, that Daniel Penny should get the Congressional Gold Medal to recognize his heroism. I'm not asking you about anyone else.
I think he ought to get medal. I think they ought to build a statue to this guy in New York City.
Look, guys, I'm not saying I know the ins and outs of this case. I'm not saying that Daniel Penny should have been found guilty. But as a general rule of thumb, it seems to me that if you are going to be taking matters into your own hands and you end up killing somebody, that at least you should go through the system, like Daniel Penny did, to see whether or not you should be held responsible for your actions. Now, as an observer from the outside, from somebody who hasn't got to see all the evidence that was presented to the jury, it seems to me somebody like Daniel Penny should at least be responsible for something like negligent homicide. Do I think Daniel Penny intended to kill this man? I don't. But did you act in a reckless way that took the life of another person? It seems so. Now, I know this was a tough case because the jury was deadlocked on manslaughter charges and ended up coming back and finding him not guilty of negligent homicide. So there obviously is some facts that most people probably aren't aware of, myself included, that made this decision a hard one to make. So I will just restate it one more time. I'm not saying Daniel Penny should have been found guilty. As a general rule of thumb, we should not promote this type of behavior. We should not incentivize it. We should not glorify this type of behavior because we live in a civilized society where you're not allowed to just take things upon yourself to carry out your own form of justice. And that goes for the same with the person who killed the United Healthcare CEO. We should not be glorifying these people for carrying out their own form of justice. So I'll leave it there for now. If you guys got anything out of this video, please remember to hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to make it to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I am less than 200 away, so I would very much appreciate your support. If you want to see how Joe Rogan's brain has been completely corrupted by Russian propaganda, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.